Guys, today we will talk about how we could configure GitHub Actions in order for us to have our pipeline jobs. So this moment requirement for me, it's pretty easy. So I have a generated pull request. What I need to be able to do is I would like to see GitHub to actually validating my pull request against a target environment, for example, in my case, UAT, and tell me what is my current state of my pull request in terms of validating it against of specific requirement. So what I'm getting in the end is I'm trying to get number of components. If I have any kind of errors that will showing up here, and if I will get any kind of code coverage issues, I would like to also see it. If something is not enough, then I would like to be notified by my pipeline, and I would like to easily see if my, let's say, pipeline is actually working or not, if my pull request is going to be deployed and merged or not. So to do so, what I need to do is I need to make sure that my pipeline is working. So here, for example, my pipeline. So here you could see what it's actually doing, right? So it's setting up a job, checking out the code, set up environment variables, set specific private keys. Then we installing Salesforce SLI, like we are then trying to authenticate into our Salesforce environment, generating Delta package. That one is actually important because if we don't want our entire branch to be deployed to environment each time, we need to make sure that our scripts that we will include into validations and deployment will be actually aligned with what we have, like in our pull request. So the same for unit tests. So for unit tests, we need to make sure that our scripts are actually taking care about unit tests related to Apex classes, that we change it in that pull request and nothing else. Then we're doing validations, making a cleanup and posting everything into our pull request. So to be able to do so, what we need to do is here, for example, we have our demo setup, right, for our environment. So we have everything what we have usually for Salesforce. We have Force App. So here under Force App, we have, like all regular folders. So on top level, we need to create two scripts. One of them is for deployment, another one is for validation. So those scripts could be generated via two manners. First of them, it's if you have a possibility to use GitHub Copilot, then you could just type it for GitHub Copilot and it will generate you all this kind of stuff for a second, but if you don't have it, then you have a possibility to use Cloud Code, and you could ask Cloud Code to actually write you this validation. And I did it for me. I specified, hey, for example, I have three environments, I have three branches. Can you please set me it up so it will automatically set up, like the environment based on the Git branch that we are using, and to do what is, like required. And here you could see that we have this if else if, right, where it's understanding what is our base reference, what branch we are trying to commit. Then it's use secrets from our project and use those secrets to do, like all the magic that we have down the road. So here everything, like what is actually usually available in the script. So we install in CLI. In general, we could use, like cache if it's required, and authenticating to the Salesforce org, like generating Delta package. So all this kind of stuff and instructions I actually did not wrote by myself. I just asked Cloud Code to actually generate it for me. And please be careful with Cloud Code, right? Even if you will ask it, go through documentation, find me the most available best practices, and so on and so forth. It could still generate you the script, right? But when you will test it, you will find out different kind of minor issues. So, for example, what I find out for myself. So first, when I just grabbed the script from the cloud, I deployed it to the branch, right? And I created the pull request. I started to validate all code in entire repository, right? Like here in my branch. So then I changed it and then started to actually validate only Apex classes from my pull request. But then it started to run all unit tests. Then I asked it to minimize it to only be applicable to the changes related in my pull request. So with these small text prompts, I was able to polish it a bit and get, like required for me validation job. So the same kind of idea I use it for generation of the deployment. So deployment idea is exactly, I would believe, the same, but it's instead of validating code against of the environment, it's actually trying to deploy. So as you could see, idea is the same. It's trying to use specific secrets from our secrets of the project Then it's trying to actually find the delta. So then we are trying to identify to the org, we are building package, we are deploying that package, and so on and so forth, right? So idea to actually have that script, right? It's good one, right? Because for free, what you could have with a GitHub free account, right? You're getting a repo. In that repo, you're having your pipeline, you have connected your environments, and everything kind of working well for you, and you could see, like all results in the pipeline. So reviewer could see, okay, so if the validation job is, like good one, then we could approve it. Of course, you could lock the branch and not allow to merge until that one is green, but it's not required in my case because it's just for kind of demo purpose. So here how you will be able to validate, like what is exactly happening with your job. So each of these, like section you could actually expand, you could read more from there and see in details what happened with each stage. So now let me show you where we actually store in our secrets. So in your repo, when you're clicking on the settings, so here a possibility for you to specify your secrets. So here you could see the most items that we need. We need to have our username that we will be able to use for our user to log in. So we are using GVT token related authorization. So then we have, like our private key that was generated on local machine also with just one command. Then we have our private keys and we have our consumer key from the external credentials on the Salesforce side. So once all of this is actually created, and if you don't know how to, get, for example, a consumer key from the Salesforce environment, how to set up external name it credentials, you could just ask Claude, and it will give you all required instructions, and it also will be, like available for you and easy to check. So I did it via that manner, got all the instructions, created all what is required, and I was able to set it up. And then how you will be able to see your deployment. So here, for example, you could see how the actual deployment look like. So in my case, in my pull request, here was only one class. And on the environment, here was only one unit class related to it. So it's just validated for me only what is required. And now I have, like my pull request is ready for merge. As you could see here, my code coverage is 100%. I don't have any kind of, let's say, component errors, so it succeeds. So I could now, like just click and merge my pull request. So I would believe, guys, that if you don't have, like kind of additional money to be able to set up in current environment or use Gearset or use Capado and things like this, right? Or for example, buy entire Azure infrastructures, and you could easily set up all requirements just with the help of the GitHub Actions. Plus, possibility with Cloud, you could customize it. So, for example, you could add PMD reports, you could add validations for JS code, ESLint. So you could do whatever is required, right? So, for example, in my case, I asked Cloud to generate very advanced version of it, right? And it was able to do it. But for me, I decided that I would like to actually use a quick and small setup for this demo to just get it faster. So I would believe that it will be good item for you guys. So it's not hard to set up, and then you have, like your pipeline working